Hello, my name is Joe Watson and I'm a dementia companion here in the rehab unit at Causeway Hospital.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery. I'm Dementia Companion in A3 and A4 respiratory wards in Antrim Area Hospital.
Hello, I'm John Miller. I'm a dementia companion at Antrim Area Hospital in the observation department in A&E.
Hello, I'm David and I'm one of the dementia companions at Inver House in Larne.
The Dementia Companions are part of a caring team that provide holistic person-centred care within a hospital environment. They support patients living with dementia through personalised companionship, communication and compassionate reassurance. They engage in therapeutic connection, life story work and cognitive stimulation activities and encourage independence as appropriate, respecting the patient's privacy and dignity. Person-centred practice leads to patient-centred care, so our dementia companions regularly engage in reflective team sessions. At the start of the year, through a claims, concerns and issues exercise, the companions discussed areas for improvement. This included clear handovers at ward levels, role clarifications, training needs and reflective opportunities. As a result, we developed the Dementia Companion Aid Memoir. The Aid Memoir is in two parts. The first page helps the companions receive a clear handover at the start of their shift from the nurse in charge. It also helps as a prompting aid that clearly highlights the remit of the role. The second page is a reflective tool. This allows the companions to reflect and record memorable moments that helps validate their role and record any training identified. The aid memoirs can then be used as a tool to identify any areas of improvement, identify training needs and record data for the continuous evaluation of the role. Little did we know at the start of the year what 2020 would bring. Our companions continued to record their experiences throughout the growing COVID crisis, and what we went on to collect was a real insight into the impact COVID had on both our colleagues and on people living with a dementia who were hospitalised during this time. The following moments are a combination of various entries from our companions. This is the diary of a dementia companion.
Hi, my name's Lauren and I'm a dementia companion over in B2 in Antrim Hospital.
I have found the aid memoir very helpful as a reminder and a prompt. It certainly helped solidify my role. I had a wonderfully detailed reminiscence this morning with a patient who told me about her wartime memories. During this time, I discovered that she likes knitting and sewing, so tomorrow I will source some material for her which will nourish this interest.
So I love being a dementia companion because I get to come onto the wards and I get to be a friend to somebody. I'm their companion. I get to sit with them and have a laugh and I giggle with them. I get to console them and pacify them whenever they're distressed or they're sad. I'm the first person they usually see when I come into the room and into the ward in the morning.
Day 3. We engaged in life story conversations today, attempting a time is me exercise. I am learning more and more of patients' different life stories and I'm discovering tips for living my own life better. The older generations have such beautiful wisdom.
I love being a dementia companion. I love hearing everybody's backgrounds and it's so nice when you're working with somebody over a period of a week and they get to know you and you form a real working relationship and a good rapport and they're just happy to see you come in the door because the stress just lifts off them and they know they're going to be safe and they're going to be okay.
Day 6. Doing jigsaws with a patient has helped me to understand that activities must be personalised. I stepped down the difficulty and focused on corner identification and colour identification. This helped to ensure that the patient still experienced a sense of fulfilment whilst ensuring the level of difficulty was appropriate to their individual ability.
I love that you get to know the patient and you get to sit there and know their ways.
Day 9. The memorable moment which stood out today was a conversation I had with a lady about her son. She was crying and spoke poignantly about him. I asked her about him and she smiled, recounting lovely stories throughout the afternoon. She finished by saying that I reminded her of him.
Dogs and things, and somebody had rang her and said the dog was ill, and she was very upset. And I'd worked out, she told me in a story before that she was a music teacher and she played the piano. So I said to sister and said it was okay. So I'm down to the hospital chapel and brought the keyboard, and it was a heavy brute of a thing, but I brought it up anyway. And she tinkled away and she played and she was brilliant, and she loved it. And it made her forget about the situation. And then the sister and I were able to get the dog in to see her. She brought to the front door and she went out to see it, and it just made her whole day, and her whole face was all so bright and it was lovely. And I knew that between myself and sister we'd done a great job, and we'd connected with the woman and made her day.
Day 11. It seems this coronavirus is a real threat. Everyone is talking about it. Countries are locking down. People are dying. You can just tell how worried people are. I'm worried too.
At the start, whenever I was in A3 and A4 and the COVID surge hit, it was scary.
Today, we were given surgical masks to wear at all times. The ward might be changing. I have to go to the training. I'm feeling really overwhelmed.
It was a very just surreal to take it all in, and even when you were driving into work, the motorways were empty. You were going home and the motorways were empty, and just for a few months there it was just work and home.
Today we had a positive test for COVID in the ward. The patient is being transferred to another hospital, so the risk is reduced. Self-isolation for the patients in the same bay has been introduced.
Initially, I must admit, I was very nervous and uptight about the situation. It took a couple of weeks at least for me to adjust.
When the lockdown came on, I was a wee bit anxious, and because I have a lifelong illness and I'm on steroids and things too, I was like freaked out, with this COVID-19, and I had to go off shielding, which was.
It's really hard trying to explain to some people with dementia what all of this is all about. I'm going to have to take some time to gather my thoughts and think out a real process for when we're discussing what the coronavirus is.
There was a high level of PPE and protection that was going to be involved each day we were going into work. I knew there was going to be everything there that we needed, so that did kind of take the pressure and the stress off a wee bit. I was scared at the start, but at the end of the day I wasn't really thinking of me. I was thinking of my patients with dementia that need me there for different reasons. It's not about me, it's about them and their care.
One patient was repeatedly distressed today. I just felt like I hadn't made any progress. At the end of my shift I went over to tell him I was going. He held my hand. He kept saying, "Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend." It made me realise that I had made a connection with him and I had made an impact just by being there.
The coronavirus pandemic created unprecedented challenges for all healthcare workers, but as a dementia companion, my role has been significantly affected, and I've had to be quite creative in exploring new ways to build relationships with my clients.
Dynamics of the wards began to change and became COVID wards, and staff were redeployed.
So whenever I got moved to B2, it was very daunting. I was scared because I didn't know, what team I was going into. But from the get-go, as soon as I walked through the doors, everybody was extremely friendly, really helpful, complimented on how amazing the companions are, how they put the pressure off the team on the floor so much. And now I have actually been given the opportunity to stay in B2, which I'm ecstatic about, as I've got really settled into it and everybody's fantastic in the team.
I was redeployed to B5, which was that time being used as the stroke unit, and I had half of A5 staff and half of A1 staff, and a few other staff members from the trust that had been redeployed from community hospitals. So we were a mix of very diverse mix of professionals and from different backgrounds, and to be honest the staff team was amazing. You wouldn't have knew that it wasn't a team from the get-go. Everybody worked well together and supported each other, and really nice atmosphere, and it was just knowing that we all had to face this and that it was much scarier for patients who were coming in and more confusing, that we had to stay relaxed and keep her cool and just be reassuring and be there for the patients.
Day 20. It remains frustrating that we are still in lockdown and COVID-19 remains a real threat. There is no visiting allowed in the hospital now.
So the visiting restrictions during COVID were really hard.
Day 23. With no visitors, it has proven difficult to collect information from family members for the Reach Out to Me booklets. However, I filled one out today with a patient and it proved a really successful exercise. It was a good prompting for topical discussion with them.
There was a time there was no visitors allowed within the hospital, and that was devastating for patients here and for the families, because with lockdown and quarantine and that and all the other rules and regulations, everybody was slightly more worried, and we're not seeing their loved ones. Everybody was very anxious in that.
Day 25. I am becoming increasingly aware of the value of this role, considering that patients often do not have any visitors during this time. I spoke with a family member who is relieved and reassured that I am here to keep her husband company. This kind of feedback is really important. It helps me feel valued.
For everyone's safety during lockdown, there was unfortunately a period of time where family and friends couldn't see their loved ones on the ward. This separation was especially difficult for my dementia clients, many of whom struggled to understand all the complex rules and regulations surrounding the coronavirus.
Day 26. I spent time today with a lady who had lost both her eyes. She described her condition as 1 in a million, but she truly is 1 in a million, so full of positivity. Her face lights up and she smiles when she hears my voice.
One of the things I struggled with really is the PPE and the mask, especially with dementia, because our dementia patients, communication is vital, and communication can be very difficult for some of the patients, and they do rely a lot on good eye contact and body language, and with the mask it was like a barrier to the communication, and it was very frightening. You could see they were frightened sometimes when you were coming in with a mask, and again it was just persevering and them getting to know your voice and your mannerisms, and it was a very difficult time to be wearing all that PPE.
Day 30. I learned today that one gentleman didn't especially want company. I offered him some conversation. He just wasn't interested. It's important to be able to recognise when we are not always wanted. However, I did give him a book and he appeared settled and read it during the afternoon.
Wearing a mask and other forms of PPE definitely took some time to get used to. Physically, I found it pretty hard to adjust, but it also impacted on the ways that I could interact with my clients.
Day 33. They're reorganising the hospital and the ward today, so I have no patients. I'm helping the nurses as much as I can, but I also spent some of the day reading about dementia research and theory in order to improve the quality of my interactions with patients.
One of the wee challenges I found when COVID came to town was I relied a lot on my smile with the patients. I would charm them and stuff, and relax them right away. A smile puts people at ease. So with the mask on, obviously you can't see that. So I actually done a wee bit of research with some of the world's best dementia experts and stuff, and one of the little tricks they explained was what you can say a lot through your eyes, and how very important your body language is when you're in front of the patient. So I watched lots of little videos teaching me how to look physically relaxed, how to smile with my eyes, and the person can tell what mood I'm in just by looking at my eyes. So little tricks like that have helped me get through this, and I've found it's just the same. It's good. It's working well.
Day 36. I helped a patient use his mobile phone to text his wife. This allowed him to get in touch with her and ask her to give him a call, as he had no balance remaining on his phone. He was extremely grateful, and it made his day. It is very rewarding to be helpful, even in the small ways.
We as dementia companions became the sort of adopted family during lockdown. A familiar face and the unmissable orange t-shirts became quite literally beacons of security and friendliness amid the turbulence and confusion of the pandemic. I also took on the role of unofficial tech support, and on the ward I helped clients unravel the mysteries of the mobile phone and maintain that vital, irreplaceable link to family and friends on the outside.
Day 38. One patient with a cognitive impairment spoke to me about dying today. Although he was serious in his demeanour, it appeared that he was using the term euphemistically. I'm really grateful for the recent training on the subject, and it certainly helped me today with these discussions.
Some patients, times they were in palliative care, and the families couldn't always be here as much as they wanted to, and it was very reassuring and relieving for them to know that somebody was there with their loved ones who weren't on their own. And it's part of the job. It's a privilege to be with somebody when they're needed, and it's privilege to be there for people, and the family appreciate it so much.
Day 41. I spent some time today helping a lady with her hair. It was a delight to see her reaction when it was finished. It was important to her identity to look the way she wanted to. Today was also a day of exciting life stories. It is a true privilege to be able to listen to the most incredible lives that some people have lived.
With the visiting restrictions, I found myself doing a little bit more of things I wouldn't have normally got involved in, like liaison between patients, me going on the phone and actually ringing the relatives for them, relaying messages, meeting people at the front doors and swapping bags with them and stuff like that. I actually got a little present I have at home as a little keyring of a Superman that one of the daughters of her father was in, and she appreciated me doing a lot of phone calls and running about one day, so she got me a little keyring of Superman. It actually touched me when I got that.
Day 62. Today a patient shared a book with me which was her favourite. She had it brought in especially for me, as we had talked about it the day before. I was touched by this gesture, and it affirmed that my presence is appreciated by the patients on the ward.
It's great to have Lisa back in Ward A3. We really missed her. She was unfortunately redeployed due to the COVID situation, my ward being the dedicated COVID ward. She's a valuable member of our team and great for the patients, and it's a great resource for everyone.
Day 70. As this is a rehab ward, some of the patients will be here for some time, and I have a good idea of their discharge date. So this allows me to plan activities for the week ahead.
I am over the moon to be back. I am, yes. I missed, although all the patients are different, but I missed being in the ward. I missed catching with the staff and with the patients, and having a laugh with a few patients at the moment, and they're great crack, and that's what makes my day. And if I make a patient laugh or smile, that's my job done.
Day 72. I am reminded of the importance of joy in work, especially during such anxious times. We played music today and had a sing-along. Even the nurses and doctors joined in. Everyone was smiling. Today was a good day.
Hello, my name's Siobhan Blair. I am ward sister in the acute elder care wards in Causeway, a 30-bedded unit specialising in people with frailty and also those with dementia or delirium. So obviously we're down the journey a little of the COVID-19 and at that time my two faithful dementia companions were shielding. At that stage we desperately missed them, obviously wished them well, delighted to have them back because their impact, both individuals, very patient-centred, calm, well-trained, enthusiastic to help us. They're a huge part of our team here. So from my point of view, it helps me to relieve time for our nurses and auxiliaries to care for other patients, while I am satisfied that the dementia companions are equally engaged in therapeutic work with those clients who have a dementia on top of an acute illness. So I'm very happy to have them in the ward.
Day 74. I've taken some time today to look back on the 8 memoirs I've completed and going to compile a list of the training I've identified and some resources I think would be a real benefit.
So the little reflection memoirs, they're very helpful, not just for our staff that's doing it, but for anybody that comes in the future to do the job. They're a very good way of showing you the type of day you're going to have and what type of things you should be doing for the patient and stuff. And they're very good at helping you reflect yourself at the end of the day when you sit down and you wonder maybe, what did I do today that helped the patient? You can, when you reflect back on everything and you actually write it down, you can say, oh my God, I did this and I did that, and I didn't realise I did that, and that actually made a difference there, and you know, and things like that. So I find them very helpful.
So my patients with dementia maybe don't remember my name, but as soon as I come in the next morning and they see the bright orange t-shirt, it's all smiles. I know then that I've made a connection with them because they remember me as soon as I walk into the ward.
And in a way, being able to come to work and having talking to other people and having your professional colleagues support me meant a lot. So
As a dementia companion, I have the privilege to be able to spend quite a lot of time with my patients, and so I get to know them really well. During the pandemic, I used this knowledge to keep families updated about how their loved one was doing that day, what they'd eaten for breakfast, how they slept the night before, how they were feeling, anything they liked picked up or dropped off, and so on. It was just such a joy to hear the reassurance that I could provide on the other end of the phone from family and friends who knew that their loved one was receiving high quality, attentive and very personalised healthcare.